Spider-Man.
He's somebody I don't know. All right, so let's talk a couple things that we went through. The characteristics of a cult, really fast. What are the characteristics of a cult? First one, you gotta have a what? Charismatic leader. What's another one?
Exploitation.
Yeah, five people are in major distress, and we'll get the exploitation, so we kind of go in order. So, and so people are distressed, something horrible is happening. What's the next thing then? Yeah.
Distill every problem into one problem.
One nice, simple problem. You got to find people who have lack ambiguity. You know, they just everything's black and white. Which this might shock you. Most people are that way.
Out there.
Huh?
Out there.
Yeah, out there. I am black. Everything's just easy for me. Yeah, it's either good or bad, up or down, red or blue, commies or the free world. I'm still in the Cold War. And then we got that. What's the next thing? Yeah, unconditional love. Yeah, we will all come together, and that is such a big deal. You get these people who feel like they have nothing or looking for something, and you can come in there and find that. By the way, most of the leaders are going to be what kind of people?
Fun.
It could be fun for a while. You've got to be kind of a sociopath. I mean, you have to be a sociopath. You cannot understand right or wrong, so you can say or do anything to convince people. What's the next thing?
New identity.
Yeah, new identity and isolate you from everybody else. Pull you in. If you try to waver, what's going to happen to you?
You'll be ostracized.
Wait till we get to Jonestown and the People's Temple. It will blow you away, the stuff that would happen.
Even like,
Okay, so
even like excommunication, like
what's that?
even in like Mormonism,
Oh.
excommunication, they like touch law.
It happens a lot. I mean, I have some of that happens personally in that church, yes. And what's enough? And then lastly, what?
Exploit.
Yeah, exploit.
Best
And
step.
control.
Yeah, they control. And the big thing is, one of the things you'll see over and over again is financial, economic. There's elements of work. You'll see that with the people. They work you. But the big thing is, you don't need the money anymore. Turn it over here. And that's why Jonestown, the People's Temple, is just like the prototypical cult. I mean, it's got every element of it. And one more thing you'll find about cults, which I don't know if it really fits in the characteristic, but it kind of ties it all in there. You get this feeling that the leader can do no wrong. You know what I mean by that? I mean, whatever the leader says is true. I mean, that just the leader can do no wrong. And once you add that unconditional love, the leader and the reader can say one thing one day, say the total opposite, and what will people believe? Yeah. Whatever you want me to believe. I totally forgot what we said yesterday. This is perfectly fine. You'll see one thing about cults, before I answer your question. One thing, and do write this down for all of them. It is a post-reality situation. You're beyond reality. Nothing is real. Nothing is true. It's post-truth. It's beyond truth. Nobody knows what's true. Yeah.
Well, going back to that talk about like the leader can do no wrong, I was reading an article about the Warren Jeffs situation, and there's people who still, even like 15 years after he was sentenced for his crimes, who still think it was like a ploy, and like that, the evidence is overwhelming that they were abused and like taken advantage of, and they still love Warren Jeffs and like support him and like say the whole thing was like a scam. The U.S. government just wants to destroy us. Like some scary stuff how deluded people can get in that like little world.
Is it delusion? I mean, there might be a delusion, but there's something else too. Nobody wants to admit they were fooled. Nobody wants to admit they were fooled. Nobody wants to look stupid. I mean, if you follow somebody, you find out they're just this horrible person that's taking advantage of you. What does that make me? That makes me an idiot. No, I was not wrong.
I was wrong. Could be Catherine.
No. Come on. We're in Alaska. Sure. Okay. So the point is, you don't want to admit you're wrong. It's amazing how people don't like to be told they're wrong. And you'll see when they are proven wrong, what do? They double down. Oh yeah? Let me tell you this. I've learned that from having little like mini debates with other adults. I know adults. And this, you take it like, oh no, you're wrong about that. And they get really mad. Really notice it in adults. Because they don't want to, oh, wait a second. And almost certainly, I'm sure I've done it. All of you probably done it. Yeah, that's such a big, you don't want to be fooled. Out there, right? You good?
Yeah.
Out there. Yeah, nobody likes to admit Nobody likes to admit they were a sucker. It's in fact, let's get to the thing of what kind of people join a cult, because we'll get to that. 4 things really quick.
Long noses, people with long noses.
I got a long nose.
I got a long
What are you saying about me?
Just saying, be on your guard.
In fact, I was just talking to my dad last night on the phone, and I was yelling at him for my long nose.
My schnoz.
Okay, so let's get to the first thing.
Pinocchio,
So,
he went to that donkey place. That could be. Just saying.
what kind of tank?
Panzer.
Probably a
Swear,
Comet.
The Russian one.
Okay, probably a Comet. You agree?
Comet
What
tank.
kind of cat?
Huh?
What was that one tank called?
I think it's a tank.
We're about out of cats.
What was the tank called that ripped off people's arms?
That was a T-72.
That's T-72.
That's how it's attack.
T-72. Oh, by the way, what's the main Russian tank today?
T-72.
T-72. Moving on. They had an automatic loader, for those of you who don't know, and they would pull the arm instead of the shell occasionally of the commander. Which is bad for crew morale. They have a better loader now, but they're still using.
Would
just a
the
different
would the
version.
arm like be shot out of the?
Well, there's not a lot of gunpowder in most arms.
Well, yeah, that was my question.
Well,
So
maybe
does-
that's the issue. 'Cause I
So,
could really see
number
how-
one, the most obvious thing, you find people in some kind of stressful, horrible situation, something awful's happened to them.
These are people who join cults?
Yeah, who join? And this is one of the things you'll find out that, don't get me wrong, adults go through unbelievable stress and all that. But one thing about people your age, and this is a good thing in most ways, I honestly believe that, but it's all new to you. These kind of things are happening. There could be anything from, your first serious boy or girlfriend, to like the first real, like, I got fired for a job, maybe the first class you didn't pass, something like that. It's the first. And that makes them always bigger. It's amazing how I still remember all of that stuff from 70 years ago when I was your age. I remember, it's funny I remember that and then forget like things, because it was new, so new. So it's just more stress. I have good news for you. The stress doesn't end when you get older. Yes.
Don't tell me the back pain gets worse too.
Well, let me talk about physical therapy. Moving on, number 2. So the fact that it was just really a lot of stress. And these are the thing about like the leaders, they're predators. They're predators. They find people like this. I mean, they can sense them. Huh? Yeah, Kevin Costner. But actually, that's what makes them so scary. They're predators. Number 3, Kevin Costner. No. Number 3, what's the order I wanted to do? I wrote this up so I would do it in the right order. Oh. You're one of them.
It's kind of like avant-garde.
So you get these people, one thing about this is, you get people who, they want to belong to something. They feel left out. They feel isolated in some way. So it could be, these are people that just want to be belonging to something. And something bigger than them. Like they could change the world. Make a new and better world. Your life could have some kind of purpose. You feel like, where am I going? What am I doing? What's my life going to be? Oh, here's somebody that says we can make a better world. My life will have meaning. And that is such a powerful instinct. Most people want to have something. I must be for something. What am I doing now? Where am I going? Oh, I can make change. And they're kind of fed up with society. They look around, they're greedy, they don't understand me. Too many Taco Bells, things like that. Next.
I agree, I disagree. I think one Taco Bell. No.
I think one Taco Bell is far too many.
I disagree.
Thank you.
I was almost a manager at there.
I was almost a manager, because my bigger shows on staff, and I was the best employee when I was 16.
The right one's.
What? It's a tough job.
Yeah, it was.
It's a hard, those are hard jobs.
I think fast food workers, work harder than the entirety of the US government.
Well, there's a really hard job, but that is a much harder job. That's a really hard job. There's a lot of really hard jobs though. Let me tell you about them. Next, these are people that they lack,
I feel like our coasts are pretty simple.
is this what I want to do? Yeah,
That's true, the Coast Guard leaves, and like the whole country's destroyed.
these are people that lack self-confidence. Yeah, they're unsure of themselves. They're unsure. And everyone goes through times like this, and they're easily pliable. You kind of, people can maneuver them and get them to think something. They lack self-confidence. They think they might be a failure. They think that no one likes them. Here's someone that finally likes them. Now, I have no friends. I'll hear somebody that I have a friend. People don't pay attention, but here's someone who is. And therefore, they're not assertive. They might not, take control for themselves. Once again, everybody has elements of this, and it comes and goes for people more than others, but the predators find them. They can just sense them. And so who's doing Family International? Someone did pick them. Didn't somebody? Was it Brennan?
I think it was Brennan. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Brennan.
Yeah, they would recruit and they would go to colleges and find people like that. Just hunt them down. And next, let's be clear about it. You find people who are gullible. Does that shock you? People who believe anything.
No way.
Oh, they're gullible. So they can be manipulated. They're not necessarily dumb, but they just don't have a lot of knowledge. There's big holes in what they know. And I'll tell you what, you find people who have holes in their knowledge and you can manipulate them. Because they don't know what's going on. And this happens all the time. Yeah.
What happens if they find a person that's gullible, but like super self-centered? Like they find someone that's like
Super self-centered? I'm sure they can, but they find somebody who's really self-centered, all you do is flatter them a little bit. You find somebody who's really narcissistic, you flatter them a little bit, and they got me eating out of your hands. If you're very self-assured. Oh, one more thing then. Not only that, they don't understand, this is where I get to the whole thing, they have no ability to understand ambiguity.
What does that big word mean?
It just means
Okay, come with me.
Like uniqueness?
Ambiguity means, you see, ambiguity, you can understand like there's a lot of gray area nuance in things. There's no yes or no answer.
Like a book's ending would be ambiguous if you could interpret it multiple ways.
right.
Very good idea. Good put plus one of your notes. You're doing such a good job. And it's people like you. And I have another thing, you can use your great skills to help people.
Eco-terrorism.
Wow, we just filmed that.
I've got to be on the watch list by now.
So-
That's not my first thought.
No, you find people, remember the whole thing about though, you get their problems down to black and white, and then you apply it. And then once you start doing that, you can say, hey, we're together as a group. And anybody who wavers from that, they're not just somebody who might question a few things. No, what are they? Bad. The enemy. Bad. Trying to get us. I saw that look. You keep looking at me. I heard about you. And so so the thing is, By the way, that is a good way to give somebody, just find your EV and then across the book. So then the thing is, let me kind of go back here and go. Okay, so, does that automatically make you paranoid?
It does, it does.
So that gets to my, okay, so, if you find people who just don't, you can manipulate, they don't see gray area. I should add, there's a lot of people like that. They want easy answers to things. Complexities are hard. If there's complex answers, that means a couple different things. First off, I'm not sure. You're not sure. And secondly, if there's complex answers,
Complex solution.
well, and we're on the right track. Because that means you gotta know stuff to come up with it. It's, to be, you have to know stuff. What have you just done? Do I want to know? I don't know. Which question, Calvin?
I was gonna say, is that like why our political system is so like diverse, it's so political, is because we're just so polarized?
Well, there's definitely, you have politicians who use people's lack of ambiguity, understanding that, they just portray everything as good or evil. And it really does work, it's quite effective. So yeah, it's quite effective work. It is amazing how many people will vote purely on like one issue. Even if, you know, like one thing, this is good or bad on one simple thing. Is that one, at least they think they can understand. That's a really good point. And also we're kind of stuck with two parties and nothing else. So, any questions?
Oh, so when I went to, let's see, when I went to see Mount Rushmore this summer, there was a cult, and
I'm going to.
Oh, in his eye, in George Washington's eye. Yeah, oh, George Washington's eye.
no, not what I'm talking about.
What call?
I don't know. There was a big mansion, and it was in like South Dakota, and I was just wondering because the people, I went on a zip lining tour, and they gave us this big background on the cult that operated from that mansion, and I was wondering.
I don't know. I'd have to see the name. I can't place it right now. Let me look into it. I'll find out.
Okay.
I mean, there's a call, or people say there's cults are talking outside of Whitefish too.
Right.
This is Melvin ones, other ones. So there's not a lot of information to it.
Right.
Did you
Let
say
me look into that.
Did you say there was a cult outside of Whitefish?
Yeah.
Or are they like tied into the white supremacist movement?
That's not it, but the creativity movement was big in Whitefish.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
And what were we saying about two parties?
Well, just having two parties kind of forces non-ambiguity because there's always just two options for
Yeah. There's
So-
no way.
And why do we have winner take all? I'm sorry, why do you have two parties? Because winner take all.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. If we didn't have winner take all, there could be more parties. I don't know if it's good or bad. I'll give you, in 1976, we're not the problem of having too many parties. But they literally have an election like every day. There's no majority, collapse, no election.
That's an issue, whatever.
That's true.
Can't argue with that. Yeah. Okay, so we can't go to the library.
I'm not even, why are we here if we're not at the library?
Should we do a library or library? Which one is it?
You should call it library as a joke because it's sarcastic on how it's actually.
No.
That's too smart. That's
We're not going to let you know.
Too many layers.
Let's do okay. All right, so if you have your laptop or use your phone, go to work on, you can start working on your presentation. Sound good?
My payments come to school.
I'm sorry.
Is that what it's?
Yeah, they heard we weren't going.
We should just register for random sophomores. What do you guys think?
I've seen
You just get in line, we're gonna just kind of jump in.
That'd be fun.
Oh,
Well, no, but we would have to go to
It'd be fun till somebody breaks the lamb. Let's go.
Bird.
For such
Let's see what's hitting up there in the-
I want bird.
So, you have to have addressed the characteristics of a cult. And not all of these have all the characteristics. But that's kind of the cool part that, you know, they have elements of a cult, and then you have to make some kind of personal evaluation. So you have to, a one-page paper, and it will be due not next week, but the week after, and we'll kind of see how next week goes to decide the exact date. We have a 3-day weekend, President's Day the next week.
Paper and a presentation.
Paper and a presentation. One-page paper, presentation. And if you want, once again, PowerPoint is the, the most basic one, because you get pictures and all that. If you have another idea, if you want to, the problem with Prezi is, it's actually much harder to make, there's a bunch of little,
It's too cool.
and you're not frankly cool enough.
Yes.
Yes.
Kale?
But you can use Prezi, but there's just a lot of steps to get stuff on it. It's kind of a pain.
What you just said, that was the iceberg, that was the Titanic's last words. I want bird. I want bird.
That was a good joke. That was funny.
You gotta admit, it's kind of fun.
Don't encourage it.
I want bird, because it crashed and killed me. So mad.
So that means that's right, you guys.
So you got a little bit of time to work.
God.
I got a little bit of time to work.
We won that fair and square.
I just had votes, you were 7.
Okay, so the assignment was to use a vocab word in our caption, and Tyler just wrote meow. And he got more votes than us.
No wonder because it was dialogue.
Plus one.
Thank you.
Well, that reminds you.
This is similar to a
Mr. Mahelish and Mr. Larson are gone. We got.
Can you give?
I already gave it to someone else.
Okay.
I'm a little sarcastic.
Are you?
You might get this.
Yeah, listen to Raelianism is a UFO religion.
I know, isn't it sick? I Googled that one. I was like,
Everybody.
that's awesome.
Real quick, seriously, have your attention, please. Because some of these things they will talk about, like Raelianism, it's kind of a free love element. So what are we going to be with that?
Careful.
Yes. And also, a lot of these cults, the leaders are absolutely horrible.
Oh yeah, Warren Jeffs.
And there's going to be some examples of sexual abuse and children. I don't want details, you don't want details, we just say it, okay? But I do want you to say that happened, because you can't understand, but I don't want any details, you don't want any details. You good on that? Okay.
Understand.
And you understand why? We don't need that.
That's not what's.
That actually makes me shockingly sad. Which one did I pick?
I know, which one did I pick? I picked the Moonies.
Dude, that's a American. You're Korean.
Be inside. So
Yeah.
no, just say, just a couple sentences. Right there. Like a couple of the characteristics, that. And not everything's gonna apply, it's only used for the ones that apply. And anecdotally, just tell me a story or something.
So the presentation
Yeah.
is like, okay.
And the thing about it is, some of you have some big, like you have, you gotta show up at least a minute. It's not just, the guy doesn't like, he's, yeah. Yeah. So some of you might have a little video clip or something. If you want to show a few seconds or something, that's great. Like, you're doing solar temporal, aren't you? Yeah. It's pretty. You get some good examples. How about one child over the other child? I'm looking at you though.
I was just putting it on your.
No, this is the medieval cults, the medieval saint worship is just huge. They would have phone, they had all kinds of stuff. Yeah. What do you think about doing something else?
No, this is.
There is, but I mean, and yeah, there's a lot. And the thing about that is, we would just do like, over maybe it's all about this worship of the saints, which kind of goes beyond the actual early Christianity to like religion and saints and all that. Yeah. I've been in a couple of cathedrals where there were bones.
Well, where there were bones?
Bones of saints, yeah. I was at one in, it was in Strasbourg. It was just a finger.
Where was the finger?
It was church.
Laying on
in
a
the
pew?
cathedral. In the cathedral, this kind of big ornate.
But like, it was just laying on a pew? Or?
No, it was this big ornate display, gold gilded under glass of the finger of the saint. Saint gilded, I don't know all these saints.
Yeah.
There's so many saints, I can't remember. And it's kind of half petrified. It was really wild.
It was really cool and like, easy to look at it, not unsettling, you know.
I think you really had to be a true believer. But I won't lie to you. It was kind of cool to see. I mean, like, gee,
Yeah.
and it just, I mean, literally, I think it was interesting. Cut it off the body and it was just sitting there. But I've seen it in a few other churches too. And pilgrims still go. They go worship the finger of the palm. There's like a shin bone in one city.
Oh, what are the chances that that's just a random dude?
Very good.
Where is he?
How would you know? Especially with them.
If you show me. That's hard to disagree with that.
Okay, I'm shutting off the camera, so now we can talk freely.